Here is a rare and intimate glimpse of the Presley family taken during the late 1960s. This photograph captures a pivotal moment of domestic peace. Elvis had just reignited his career with the '68 comeback special, reminding the world why he was the king. But in this image, he is simply a father. We see Elvis, Priscilla, and a very young Lisa Marie, likely at one of their homes. This era, balancing his return to live music with new fatherhood, was a unique time. These private moments were increasingly rare as his fame exploded once again, leading into the demanding Las Vegas residencies. This image freezes a moment of happiness before the whirlwind resumed. When two music legends meet, the moment is electric. This photograph from April 6, 1968 captures exactly that. Elvis and Priscilla Presley are seen backstage at the Flamingo Hotel in Las Vegas. They weren't there for Elvis to perform. They were there to watch another powerhouse vocalist, Tom Jones. Elvis deeply admired Tom's voice, and the two formed a lasting friendship built on mutual respect. These images show the genuine joy and camaraderie between them. This meeting happened just over a year before Elvis himself would launch his own iconic Vegas residency, changing the city forever. This snapshot freezes a unique moment of two kings sharing a laugh. Graceland was famous for its pets, and this one was special. This 1963 photo shows a young Priscilla Bulio with her poodle, Honey. This dog was a personal gift from Elvis. This image is significant because it dates to the period before their marriage. Priscilla had moved to Memphis and was living at Graceland under a complex arrangement while finishing her high school education. She was still just a teenager, adjusting to the surreal life inside the king's famous home. Honey served as a constant companion for her during those early, often quiet and isolated days at the mansion. It's a very personal snapshot of the future Mrs. Presley. What does Easter look like for the king of rock and roll? This photograph gives us a beautiful answer, capturing the Presley family in April 1969. Lisa Marie, born just the previous year, is celebrating one of her first major holidays. This snapshot comes from a truly golden period. Elvis's career was soaring after the '68 comeback special, and he had not yet begun the grueling schedule of his Las Vegas residencies. This image, taken at their Beverly Hills home, shows a relaxed family dressed in their Sunday best. These glimpses of normal family life are treasured by fans, offering a rare look at the private man behind the legend. Being married to Elvis meant that fans weren't just at concerts, they were at your front gate. This photo shows Priscilla Presley on April 12, 1971, talking with fans outside their home on Hillcrest Drive in Beverly Hills. This was a common ritual. Fans would gather daily, hoping for a glimpse of the family. Unlike many stars who would hide, both Elvis and Priscilla were known to frequently come to the gate. They would chat, accept gifts, and sign autographs. This image captures Priscilla's grace and kindness, taking the time to personally connect with the people who supported her husband. It's a fascinating look at the unique reality of their daily lives. Taken on the very same day, April 12, 1971, this photo shows Elvis himself at the gates of the Hillcrest Drive home. The accessibility of Elvis was legendary. While he was the biggest star on the planet, he never forgot his fans. It was a regular part of his routine when he was home in Beverly Hills to walk down to the gate. He would spend hours talking, signing autographs, and listening to stories from people who had traveled from all over the world. This wasn't a staged photo op, it was a genuine interaction. This image perfectly illustrates the unique and powerful connection he maintained with his fan base throughout his entire career. This candid moment from 1969 shows Priscilla and a toddler Lisa Marie inside their Beverly Hills home. This wasn't Graceland. This was their California residence at 1174 Hillcrest Drive, the same home where fans would gather at the gates. This photo offers a rare peek inside their private world. While Elvis was restarting his live career, Priscilla was managing their home and raising their daughter. You can see the fashionable decor of the era in the background. This image is a touching reminder that behind the flashbulbs and the screaming fans, there was a young family. It highlights Priscilla's role as a mother during one of the busiest times in Elvis's career. This photo shows a very young Priscilla Bewley in Wiesbaden, Germany in April 1961. This timeline is critical. She had met Elvis in Germany in 1959 while he was stationed there. However, Elvis completed his army service and returned to the United States in March of 1960. This photograph was taken a full year after he had left. Priscilla was still just a teenager, living with her family on the military base. She and Elvis stayed in touch through letters and phone calls during this separation. This image captures her during that period of waiting, a young woman in Germany connected by a long-distance romance to the biggest star in the world. In 1964, Elvis Presley starred as Charlie Rogers in the musical drama Roustabout. This film was a significant hit, and this image captures him in character. He played a tough but tender musician who joins a traveling carnival. What made this movie special was his co-star, the legendary Hollywood icon Barbara Stanwyck. Their on-screen chemistry was a highlight. The film also featured Elvis riding a Honda 305 Superhawk, which helped boost the motorcycle's popularity. The soundtrack was a massive success, hitting #1 on the Billboard charts. Roustabout is a perfect example of the successful musical formula that defined his 1960s film career. This paparazzi photo captures Priscilla and Lisa Marie during a challenging, transformative time, the late 1970s or early 1980s. This was the period following Elvis's passing in 1977. Priscilla was no longer just the king's wife. She was the executrix of his estate and a single mother. Lisa Marie was growing up as the daughter of a global icon, navigating her teenage years under the intense glare of the public eye. These candid shots show them trying to live a normal life, whether shopping or walking in Los Angeles. They illustrate the immense pressure they faced, while Priscilla worked tirelessly to preserve the Graceland legacy. Before Graceland, before the world knew his name, this was Elvis's core. This photo shows him with his beloved parents, Vernon and Gladys. Their bond was incredibly tight, forged through poverty in Tupelo. Gladys, in particular, was the center of Elvis's world. Her sudden passing in 1958 while he was in the army was a devastating blow from which he arguably never fully recovered. Vernon, his father, would go on to manage the business affairs and finances at Graceland for the rest of his life. This image, likely from the mid-50s, captures that brief, happy moment when the family was whole and just beginning to enjoy the fruits of his success. This peaceful spot at Graceland wasn't always there. Taken in April 1966, this photo shows the newly built meditation garden. We see Elvis and Priscilla with their close friend Jerry Schilling and his future wife, Sandy. The garden was Elvis's own project, designed as a place for quiet reflection. It features a circular pool, a pergola, and statues. At the time this photo was taken, it was just a beautiful addition to the grounds. Neither Elvis nor Priscilla could have known that just over a decade later, this peaceful garden would be chosen as his final resting place. This image captures a moment of friendship in a location that would gain profound significance. It was the wedding the entire world wanted to see. On May 1st, 1967, Elvis and Priscilla were married at the Aladdin Hotel in Las Vegas. This was not a massive public spectacle. It was a private ceremony in Milton Prell's suite, arranged at 3 a.m. to avoid the press. The ceremony itself lasted only 8 minutes and was attended by a small group of family and friends. This photo captures the iconic moment. Priscilla, who wore a dress she purchased off the rack, and Elvis in a classic tuxedo. They followed the ceremony with a press conference and a lavish breakfast reception. This event marked the official union of rock and roll's most famous couple. Even the king of rock and roll had to buy his own records. This iconic photo captures Elvis at the Poplar Tunes music store in his hometown of Memphis in 1957. By this time, he was a massive superstar, yet here he is, casually browsing the aisles. This store was one of his favorite local hangouts. He was known to rent out the entire store after hours so he and his friends could listen to new music. This image perfectly illustrates that hometown boy charm he never lost. He is seen here greeting fans and signing autographs, completely at ease. It's a fantastic snapshot of his life in Memphis, still connected to his roots. The day before the wedding was a family affair. This photograph was taken on April 30th, 1967 in Palm Springs, California. It shows Elvis and Priscilla with Priscilla's mother, Ann Beaulieu. This was captured just one day before their famous Las Vegas wedding. They were at the House of Tomorrow, the futuristic home Elvis had leased in the Vistas Las Palmas neighborhood. This house was originally meant to be their wedding venue, but the press found out. To escape the media circus, they made the last-minute decision to fly to Las Vegas for the ceremony instead. This photo captures a quiet family moment just before the whirlwind began. How do you have a honeymoon in secret? You borrow Frank Sinatra's jet. Immediately following their 8-minute wedding and press conference on May 1, 1967, Elvis and Priscilla needed an escape. This photo shows them boarding a private Learjet to fly to Palm Springs for their honeymoon. But this wasn't just any jet. It was the Learnin' Through, a plane belonging to Frank Sinatra. Sinatra loaned the plane for the occasion. This allowed the newlyweds to escape the media storm in Las Vegas and begin their married life in the privacy of their futuristic Palm Springs home, a true rock and roll fairy tale start. After Elvis's passing, Graceland faced an uncertain future. This photo shows Priscilla Presley at a press conference on May 4, 1982. This was a pivotal moment. The estate was costing a fortune in upkeep, and its future was in jeopardy. Priscilla, as the executrix of the estate, made the bold decision to open the mansion to the public. It was a huge financial gamble. Here, she is officially announcing that Graceland would open on June 7, 1982 as a museum. This decision not only saved Elvis's home, but turned it into one of the most visited historical sites in the world, preserving his legacy for all future generations. The early 1980s marked a major transformation for Priscilla Presley. This photograph, taken in 1982, shows Priscilla at a turning point. Following Elvis's passing, she stepped out of his shadow and into the role of a formidable businesswoman. This was the same year she masterminded the public opening of Graceland, a decision that saved his legacy. She was also building her own career as an actress, soon to land her iconic role in the TV series Dallas. This image captures the style and determination that defined her new public persona. She was no longer just the wife of the king, she was becoming a respected public figure in her own right. Hawaii was Elvis's favorite escape, and this spot was a famous stop. This photo captures Elvis and Priscilla in May 1969 at the famous Halona Blowhole on the coast of Oahu, Hawaii. This location was already familiar to Elvis. He filmed a key scene here for his 1961 blockbuster, Blue Hawaii. This trip was a much-needed vacation. Elvis was taking a break between filming his movie Change of Habit and preparing for his triumphant return to live performing in Las Vegas. These trips to Hawaii were his sanctuary, a place where he could relax and enjoy time with his family, away from the constant demands of his career. A trip to Hawaii wasn't complete without friends. This photo, taken in May 1968, shows Elvis and Priscilla in Hawaii with Joan Esposito and Patsy Presley. Patsy was married to Elvis's cousin, and Joan was the wife of Joe Esposito, Elvis's close friend and road manager. This trip was special. It was Lisa Marie's first visit to the islands, and it was also a critical rest period for Elvis. He was just weeks away from filming the '68 Comeback Special, a show that would completely revitalize his career. This vacation was his last chance to relax and mentally prepare for the demanding rehearsals that would define his legendary return. What happens when the king of rock and roll meets the daughter of the chairman? This image is from the 1968 movie Speedway, starring Elvis Presley and Nancy Sinatra. The chemistry between the two was undeniable. They were both children of music royalty, and the film played on that. Speedway tells the story of a race car driver, Elvis, who has tax problems, and his IRS agent, Nancy. The film featured the popular duet There Ain't Nothin' Like a Song. While the movie followed the standard 1960s formula, the pairing of these two iconic names made it a memorable entry in his film career, and the two remained good friends. One wedding wasn't enough for the king. After their small, private Las Vegas wedding on May 1, 1967, Elvis and Priscilla returned to Memphis. On May 29th, they hosted a second, larger reception at Graceland. This event was for all the friends, family, and Graceland staff who could not attend the hurried ceremony in Vegas. This photo captures the couple, in their original wedding attire, cutting another wedding cake in the dining room. It was a chance to celebrate their marriage properly with their Memphis inner circle. This reception allowed them to share their happiness with the hometown crowd and the people who worked for them. This is the look of a man about to change his career forever. This photo, from June 2, 1968, shows Elvis and Priscilla arriving at the airport in Los Angeles, returning from their vacation in Hawaii. This was not a routine return. Elvis was flying back to begin rehearsals for his upcoming television special, now famously known as the '68 Comeback Special. He had been away from live audiences for years, stuck making movies. This show was his chance to prove he was still the king. The relaxed man in this photo was just days away from the intense, leather-clad performances that would relaunch his career. Graceland was always full of animals, and this was one of Priscilla's favorites. This charming photo from around 1967 or 1968 shows Priscilla with a small dog, likely a Yorkshire Terrier named Muffin. While Elvis famously loved his chimpanzee Scatter, Priscilla often favored smaller dogs. This image provides a relaxed, domestic glimpse into her life at Graceland during the early years of her marriage. At this time, she was a new wife and, by 1968, a new mother. These pets were constant companions. This snapshot, likely taken on the Graceland grounds, is a simple, personal moment that captures the quiet side of her life. By 1971, Elvis was the undisputed king of Las Vegas. This photo captures Elvis and Priscilla in Las Vegas in August 1971. Elvis was in the middle of his summer engagement at the International Hotel, performing to sold-out crowds every single night. This era was the peak of his jumpsuit phase. He was a commanding, charismatic performer, and Priscilla was often by his side for these high-energy Vegas seasons. However, this photo also captures a time of growing distance in their personal lives. Despite the public smiles, this period was challenging for their marriage, as Elvis's demanding schedule and life on the road began to take a toll. This movie pairing created sparks that were impossible to ignore. This is, of course, Elvis Presley and Anne Margaret in the 1964 hit Viva Las Vegas. Of all his co-stars, Anne Margaret was his most dynamic and electrifying match. Their on-screen chemistry as Lucky Jackson and Rusty Martin was genuine, and it famously continued off-screen. They were both passionate performers who loved to move, and their dance numbers are the highlight of the film. Viva Las Vegas is often considered the peak of his movie career, a perfect blend of music, dancing, and fun. The vibrant energy between these two stars made the film an enduring classic. The entrance to Graceland is guarded by two silent sentinels. On August 21, 1957, shortly after purchasing Graceland, Elvis added a signature touch. He bought these two large stone lions, installing one on each side of the main steps. He purchased the pair for $1,000. These lions have stood watch ever since, greeting millions of visitors. They have become an iconic part of the Graceland facade, silent witnesses to every party, every family gathering, and every fan vigil. They are a permanent symbol of the home Elvis loved so much, representing the strength and status of the King's Castle. Even the King of Vegas took nights off to see other stars. This photo from August 29, 1969, shows Elvis and Priscilla at the International Hotel in Las Vegas. But this time, they were the audience. They were there to see the opening night of Nancy Sinatra's show. You can also see members of Elvis's Memphis Mafia entourage with them. This was during Elvis's own historic debut engagement at the same hotel. He had just reclaimed his title as the King of Live Performance. It shows the mutual respect and friendship he shared with other performers like Nancy, whom he had co-starred with just a year earlier. 1 year after his passing, Las Vegas honored the man who rebuilt the city. This photo was taken on September 8, 1978. It shows Priscilla and Vernon Presley at the unveiling of a bronze statue of Elvis at the Las Vegas Hilton, formerly the International Hotel. This was the venue Elvis made world famous with his record-breaking, sold-out performances. The statue, created by sculptor Carl Romanelli, was a permanent tribute. For Vernon, Elvis's father, it was an incredibly emotional day. Sadly, Vernon himself would pass away less than a year after this statue was dedicated. This image captures a moment of solemn tribute to the King of Las Vegas. Is this the Queen of Pop meeting the King of Rock? This famous photo was taken on September 11, 1970, as Elvis arrived at the airport in Detroit. He was greeted by a crowd of fans, and this image captures him signing an autograph for a young woman. For decades, a popular urban legend has claimed this fan is a teenage Madonna. However, this has been thoroughly debunked by researchers and the fan herself. The young woman in the photo is actually named Mary. While the resemblance is noted, it is simply a case of mistaken identity. The real story is still a wonderful one, a snapshot of Elvis connecting with a loyal fan. It was a meeting that would change pop culture history. On September 13, 1959, a 24-year-old Elvis Presley, then a soldier in the U.S. Army, met 14-year-old Priscilla Beaulieu for the first time. The meeting took place at a party at Elvis's off-base home in Bad Nauheim, Germany. Priscilla's stepfather, a U.S. Air Force officer, was stationed nearby. Despite her young age, Elvis was immediately charmed by her. He reportedly played the song "Are You Lonesome Tonight" for her during that very first meeting. This moment was the beginning of a romance that would become one of the most famous in the 20th century. This scene marked Elvis's big return to the movies. This memorable image is from the 1960 film G.I. Blues, Elvis's fifth movie, but his first after leaving the U.S. Army. The scene, where his character, Tulsa McLean, sings "Doin' a Best I Can" while in the shower, almost didn't happen. Elvis was reportedly hesitant to be filmed this way. The film was a massive hit, re-establishing his bankability as a movie star. The plot mirrored his own life, playing a soldier stationed in Germany. The movie soundtrack was also a huge success, spending 10 weeks at #1. This scene is a fan favorite. This film arguably defines the Elvis movie era. This backstage image captures Elvis during the filming of Blue Hawaii in March or April of 1961. The movie was a massive box office success and became one of his most iconic films. It solidified his image as a movie star and set the formula for many of his films to come: an exotic location, beautiful scenery, and a string of hit songs. The soundtrack album was unbelievably successful. It stayed at #1 on the Billboard charts for 20 consecutive weeks. This photo captures the King at the height of his Fun in the Sun movie stardom.